Welcome back, guys, to the ASAP Automotive channel. For those of you that are, this is your first time tuning in, we are working on the LSTJ. What it is, it's a buddy of mine's '01 Wrangler, and this is what we're calling Project 6.0. We're dropping this 6-liter LS motor, or Gen 3 small block, whatever you want to call it, out of an '05 Escalade. And we've already done a few episodes introducing the project, teardown. We put a comp cam in it, LS7 style double roller chain, cam bearings, all kind of different goodies in it like that. And today, what we're going to be doing, in the last episode, we pretty much put the long block back together. Your valve cover to oil pan. And today we're going to be putting all our accessories, all the little stuff. So in doing one of these projects, especially if you're teamed up with somebody like Novak, they sent us pretty much a Bible for this thing, which is amazing. And in there it talks about you pretty much want to get this thing dressed up as much as possible because you're squeezing it into a pretty tight space. And you don't want to get your motor set in and weld in your motor mounts and realize, oh crap, now the intake doesn't fit or the headers don't clear or something stupid like that. So you actually want to dress this thing out as much as possible. We're going to do everything but the intake manifold because that's how we got to lift the thing. So we went ahead and put the manifold or the headers on. Nothing really to that. Simple, straightforward hardware. I think it was like 22 foot-pounds torque. Real simple. Just pay attention on your gaskets. It'll normally tell you depending on who you go with. We went with ones Novak recommended. Actually bought them straight from him. And it tells you, which side goes to the head or manifold and which side goes to the front. Just make sure you got them on the right way. That way you don't end up with a pesky leak. Because it's much easier to do it right now than after it's in the Jeep. Because it gets a little snug then. So one of the first things we're going to do today, we've already got our starter on. So this is your actual oil level sensor from GM, and we're not going to need it anymore. It actually does away with it. It creates a clearance issue. So in the harness that we got back from Novak that we had sent off, and they did a bunch of modifications and some integration with it, it's gone. So what we're going to do is they actually give us this plug, which is basically an M20 by 1.5 thread plug, basically a glorified oil drain plug with a gasket that's going to block that off, so we don't, of course, have any oil leaking out of there. And because you ask, well, why don't you just leave it there and just unplug it and leave it be? Well, there's a seal in here, and normally by the time you get one of these motors, this one has 150K. The seal's shot and it creates a leak point. It's aggravating, and it's way easier to take care of this now than when it's in the Jeep. It's a 1 1/8 is what this one's ended up being. I didn't have a socket handy right here for this, but it's real easy. It's plastic. Don't get crazy with it. Just I already broke it loose a little bit, but it comes right on out. Got a nice little O-ring in there. Just like that. The O-ring stuck on there a little bit, no big. But, and what that does, that floats in around there. It's just like a float in a toilet bowl, pretty much. And when it drops down and makes contact, lets the computer know, hey, the oil level is low. Well, if it gets to that case, you're in much more trouble, anyways. But there's no way for it to communicate with the cluster in the Jeep, anyways. So we're doing away with it. Okay guys, so this plug in particular that we got from Novak is 17 millimeter. Pretty straightforward, just like putting a drain plug in your oil pan. We're just doing it on the side. And we like to start them by hand. Make sure it threads in good and run it down. And I'm sure there's an actual torque spec or something for this, but just good and snug. You'll feel it. Remember, it's aluminum, and it should be good right there. 1 or 2 Ooga Doogas, somewhere around there is fine. Alright, so now we got our oil level sensor deleted out of there and sealed up. We're good there. Now we're going to put a new water pump. We were debating on whether to put one on this one. After spinning the pulley on the old ones, we could really feel the bearings were rough. That's one thing you want to check for. On water pumps too, well, this one's hidden up in there, but normally there's a little weep hole, and what it is, there's an inner bearing and an outer bearing, and then there's a seal on the outside of that, and if that seal goes, it'll start weeping out of there, and that's how you know. That's what they call a weep hole. So if you see any kind of staining or anything running out of here, just replace the water pump. It's much easier to do now while it's on the stand than inside. In ours, we could really feel how rough the bearings were, so there's no doubt it was going to go at any time. So we're going to go ahead and put it on. You got your two gaskets like this. They're a metal body gasket with, you know, O-ring insert or rubber insert from that Male kit that we had. Just make sure you got them on the right way. And I'll wait to start one through. And just kind of get them started, kind of hold it up so it's nice and lined up. So, you know, of course, as with anything, like when you've got multiples like this, you don't want to start and run the first one down all the way, then you're screwed trying to line up the rest of them. So just leave them loose, you got them started. Now we'll go to put the rest of them in and tighten them down. Okay guys, so quick tech tip here. So basically with these LS motors, Gen 3 small blocks, once again, there's two different thermostat styles. There's either one that's serviceable like this to where it pops out and separates, or there's one to where it's a one piece. I don't have one here laying around to show you guys, but here's a picture of it. So this is all one piece. The thermostat's all built into the housing, so you got the, if you have one of these in yours, then you've got to either get this set up or buy the style that converts it to this and get a separate thermostat. It's totally up to you. It depends on where you buy it. Some ways it's cost effective more than the others, but the quickest way to tell the difference between the two is that tab right there. If yours has that tab on it, you're more than likely you've got that set up. So, but just a real quick little thing there to notice, so you guys don't go order a serviceable one and then realize you got a one piece and crap. I guarantee it's going to happen late at night when the parts stores are all closed. So, but it's real simple, straightforward install. So we pulled this off the old water pump and made sure everything's good and clean in here. Now there's a little tit right here on the outside of the rubber gasket. By the way, this rubber gasket's got a groove in it that just slides, wraps right around the thermostat. Make sure all that's good and seated. If you roll this or pinch this, then you could end up with a leak, or it could get sucked into the coolant system, whatever. So match the tit up to the little groove in there, and just kind of, it's going to be nice and snug. That's the way you like it. It's nice and tight. So, but if you notice, it tries to roll on you. So just take your time. See, like right there, it's going to be in a bit of a butt. So just kind of working it around. And yeah, you could probably dab a little bit of oil or something around there if you wanted, but you know, just make sure it's all good and seated around in there. Make sure that's lined up. That puts your little tickler right in the right spot, and what that does is let bleeds a little bit of coolant and air by while the thermostat's closed. But real simple, straightforward. So just bolt it right on there like so, and you see this bit there, and you'll just push down and start your two bolts and just snug them down. Once again, I think this is probably like a 10 like somewhere right around 10 foot-pounds or something like that, and then you're good to go. On to the next step. Alright, so next thing we're going to go and do is we're going to install our power steering and alternator bracket assembly. And in this application, so there's a handful of different setups you can use. I think Novak just started using another Holley system that actually put everything a lot more snug and all. We kind of went middle of the road and went with the other side for the Holley stuff. We are reusing the bracket assembly from the Escalade on this side, and let's get it all lined up here. This is what we pulled off earlier. or before in the teardown video. So let me just get one up here and start it a good bit, and you can let it hang and then work with what you got. So we're going to clean this up a little bit eventually, but just for now to get everything on here and see where we are. So there's different ones where you can offer. We did this side, and we'll show you just a minute on that. This side, you can actually get, or you can set it up like the car style. A ton of different ways you can set it up, or a handful of different ways. Like I said, we went this way. So we're actually able to, it saves us a fair bit of money. We're able to actually use the stock power steering pump. The only thing we'll have to do is we'll just have to cap off this. So you notice here, you've got 3 lines. This is your return right here that goes from your steering gear. This is the pressure line, and this Escalade it come out of had what was called hydro boost braking instead of regular vacuum boost. So this was the return from that unit. We're not going to use this, so rather than having to buy a whole new power steering pump with just not that, there's no pressure here, it's just in the reservoir, just to return. So we're going to cap this off, and we'll use a piece of oil cooler or power steering pressure hose, or power steering hose for this here. This will direct right up to the gearbox. And Novak's told us which one. It's one of the Jeep ones. I don't think we can reuse ours in this application. We'll figure that out in a little bit. And then it screws right in. So the power steering side of this is actually pretty easy. You know, just a couple of quick hoses. There's not much fabrication or any special parts you really need there, other than just the pressure hose. And it's a Jeep part anyways. So we're going to go ahead, and we've got 3 bolts up here, 1 down here at the bottom, the very bottom down here to the block, and you've got 1 little one back here in the back of this bracket that we're going to go ahead and start in here when we pulled off. So, and once again, you know, start all your bolts and then tighten them down. So we're going to get these tightened down, and we'll move on to the next step. We'll probably go ahead and put our alternator on next.
Yeah.
Okay guys, so now we've got the whole bracket assembly here on the driver's side mounted down, tightened up, lined up and everything. So now what we're going to do is put our alternator on, and it just simply slides right in here. You'll notice real quick, so it's an aluminum bracket, and it's got these little metal slides in it, and they're kind of a compression fit. So manufacturing differences and all that, you know, if you had a little bit of gap here in between, you know, if this was a fair bit smaller and you try to tighten it down, you're going to break that ear off. So what this does is allows it to move back and forth to tighten down to this or come out if it's wider, you know, because one come off a line might be this wide, the next one might be wider, who knows. So just sometimes, depending if you change alternators or whatever, you might have to get in there with a dead blow and knock these back out a little bit. In this case, we were good, so we were just able to slide it right in, because we took the alternator off this same bracket. So, and just start your 2 bolts in like that. And for our application, we've got the power wire coming off of here, so we'll just go ahead and hook this back up to here while we got it right here anyways, and then we'll go from there. So we'll go ahead and get these tightened down, do this on there, and then we'll move on to the next part. Okay guys, so like I was saying, there's a handful of different options you can use for accessory brackets for these, you know, putting them in a Jeep like this. You can, if you wanted, use these factory style AC setup if you're going to run AC, which has a nice a concave bracket over here, and the AC compressor mounts down here. Works great for the stock truck or car or van, whatever it's in. Problem is your frame rail's right there. Now you can hack out your frame and do all that. Screw that. Way too much work. Just buy a kit like one like Holly makes or whoever. We went with this one in particular. Yours might be a little bit different depending on which one you go with. But for this one in particular, it comes as 2 pieces. We've already bolted them together here. With this one, I'm going to tighten this one down yet. But it just bolts right in place to where this other bracket would be over here. Or actually, there's no bracket over here. It's just your main serpentine belt tensioner. And what we're going to do is this kit actually comes with a new one to relocate that. But we'll still utilize this same, so we don't have to change our balancer or anything. It all stays in line. So really nice. This what this spacer is This is for the trucks, any kind of truck application, van application, or whatever. The cars, like, you know, Camaro, Corvette, GTOs, any of those, you notice the balancer is a lot further back. Like if you're getting a motor like out of a, you know, like an LS1 or LS6, LS2 or LS3, the balancer is far, far back. Your water pump's a lot shorter. This is all a truck drive setup, so everything is further out. Your car stuff's probably gonna be way back about where this would be here. So that being said, if you had a car motor or whatever, you would just use this bracket. You wouldn't need this adapter. But it's our application. We're going to run the adapter. And I'm going to shut up and I'm going to go ahead and put this bracket on.